Would you please tell us your name and a little bit about yourself?
I'm Carolina Aragon. I am an assistant professor in the landscape architecture program here at UMass Amherst.
I'm Elizabeth Hammond-Infield, and I'm a professor of regional planning.
My name is Latifa Ziad, and I am the Resiliency Planning Coordinator for NOAA, the Neighborhood of Affordable Housing.
What is your background in climate justice?
Basically, I coordinate all of their resiliency work here in East Boston.
I came to UMass in 2001. So that's my main role. So I teach in planning, has to do with land use and community design and those sorts of things. And that's my background. Most of my work is in climate change and preparing cities for climate change and reducing greenhouse gases from them and those sorts of things.
I'm part of the ETI, which is the Energy Transition Institute. And the idea is that this is an institute that brings all kinds of professionals in thinking what our society needs to be able to function using renewable energy and doing so in a way where everybody can benefit from it. So can we begin to imagine what it's going to be like to not be fossil fuel dependent?
Environmental sustainability is a big issue in modern day. The average American lifestyle creates mass amounts of waste and uses excessive energy. Though much of the changes needed to enhance global sustainability are out of an individual's control, there are ways in which we can make choices that lead to a standard of overall more sustainable lifestyles.
How important is individual lifestyle to global sustainability, in your opinion?
It's really important. The work I do is sort of more at the other end. It's trying to set up the structures so that the choices people make are easy. Mm-hmm. Because on this, I'm a little pessimistic. I think that there's a lot of young people who will really do the right thing, but there's a lot of people who won't. And so we have to set up the structures so that the right thing is the easy thing. So I'm sorry, I'd like to say it's hugely important, and it is, but it's in some ways more important for setting a practice that other people will see. And so your carbon emissions may not be big, and your change in carbon emissions may not be big, but what you do is you create an expectation that it's normal among other people you know. And so then, it ripples out. So it's not just you, it's that rippling effect that's going to be really helpful, I think.
It's definitely important, but it's hard to push all the focus onto the individuals, because really, there's not a whole lot one individual person can do. If we get all of the individuals to do something to make a change, then that's how change will actually happen.
Do you feel your age impacts your view on sustainability and climate change?
It's huge. I think my generation, I was a big apology. My apology does not go anywhere near what we owe, and what the students are perfectly aware that previous generations have not done well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, so that's to say my friends who are like my age are pretty sustainable, but it's not built into them necessarily in the same way it is more broadly for your generation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think it does. Just through education, I think that I've learned a lot more about the climate and our impact just through my education than even my parents did. And also, social media has a huge impact on that. So I'm seeing the more personal side of the natural disasters that are being caused because of climate change on social media from places around the world. So I definitely think that my age has a lot to do with the way I see it.
I definitely think that my age impacts my views on both of those issues. I think a lot of that comes from the fact that my generation is really the first generation that's being confronted with the effects of climate change. I think also social media and modern media has a big part to play in my generation's kind of awareness of those climate issues, because information is so readily available and accessible to us at all times. there's like really no way to go without hearing about the most recent, climate disasters or climate related issues. So I think that age definitely does have a big impact for me.
I definitely see it. I do think about it. I guess I kind of put it, like almost try not to think about it, or like end up just not thinking about it, because it's kind of like, oh, well, I'm 13. I'm like, what am I gonna like do to make a huge difference?
I think like I have a lot of access to like the news, and I know a lot of what's going on as opposed to like what my parents did at this age, especially because I'm going to be the one like impacted by it more than like people that are older than me.
It's definitely in the social media a lot more nowadays. I think it's really all about how much you want to learn about climate change. My parents know just as much about it, but my views on it are a bit different because I have to live through it a bit longer than a lot of people in a different age.
When you think about individual choices pertaining to climate change and environmental impact, you might think of the classics, like recycling, composting, thrifting, public transportation, and so on. There are also bigger things happening that we don't see every day.
How does culture and upbringing connect to personal sustainability?
Well, it certainly makes it easier or require more personal effort. Some people grow up in families that value that, and then it's pretty easy for them to continue to value them. If you grow up in a family that really doesn't, then it takes some shift on your part. Ultimately, by the time you're 22, something like that, it's not your parents' fault anymore. Like, it's the choices that you are making. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, it influences what's easy and what's hard, but it doesn't change responsibility.
When sharing ways that individuals can move towards more sustainable lifestyles, it is important to also address the many things that stand in the way of an individual's ability to live sustainably. Many people are not in a financial position to make certain choices. Local and farm-fresh products are often more expensive than conventionally produced products. Students at Four Rivers expressed that many of us are not in an age where we are responsible for providing our own food, housing, electricity, transportation, etc. So in many cases, students end up doing what their parents or guardians do. Carolina Aragon highlights how being a parent can sometimes change how you prioritize convenience for yourself and your children over sustainable options. Until the systematic changes needed to make sustainable choices the easy option, there will continue to be a large portion of the population that is not able to participate. The goal should be to make sustainability for everyone. First, as individuals, we can expand our knowledge on climate change and sustainability. Second, we can thrive to make more sustainable choices when possible and acknowledge the things that stand in our way. Third, we can take advantage of small lifestyle choices that support sustainability, such as composting, recycling, supporting local farms, growing your own food, and being aware of your energy use and waste. Additional things such as electric cars and switching to renewable energy for your home are great if you have the resources. Fourth, we can push for federal and global regulations and policies that support aiding the climate crisis through petitions, voting, and other political actions. And finally, we can take responsibility while being sensitive to our own and others' climate anxiety.